James for Hire.
Welcome back to James for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry with Will Polston, and we are back for the NL Central projections and predictions. Of course, before this, you have seen us drop the AL East, AL Central, AL West, and NL East. And here we are with our fifth of sixth, going by division. And let's just hop right into it. We'll start with the Cubs, who finished top of the NL Central last season at 34-26. Wound up losing, getting swept by the Marlins in the wild card series. That was a little tough. Guys they brought in: Jock Peterson, Brandon Workman, Jake Arrieta, Austin Romine. Those are just the most notable ones. Guys that left, way more notable ones, I'll say that: John Lester, Kyle Schwarber, Yu Darvish, they traded to the Padres. Victor Caratini went right with him. Jose Quintana and Albert Almora Jr. We'll start with the Cubs offseason. What were your thoughts on that?
I think their offseason didn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, it seemed like they weren't really going for wins. It seems like they were being a little bit of a sell now team when they could be a win now team. Right now, the NL Central is really up for grabs, and it could be anybody's division. But after losing Lester, after losing Darvish, that leaves a lot of question, and Quintana leaves a lot of question marks in their pitching rotation. Still have Kyle Hendricks. Like you said, I know they acquired Zach Davies. They acquired Jake Arrieta. Still have Alec Mills, but Alec Mills was nothing too special other than the no-no last year. I mean, Jake Arrieta is older. They're just kind of clinging on to what he had whenever he was originally in Chicago. It's just, there's a lot of questionable moves here. Going to get Jock Peterson was a weird move to me. Really the only good move I thought they made was going to get Brandon Workman. They definitely need bullpen help outside of Craig Kimbrell. But other than that, I mean, the rest of their team, their lineup looks the same for the most part. So they didn't make any big additions. I mean, they replaced Schwarber with Jock Peterson, and that's about the only change. But Schwarber and Jock Peterson are very similar players, both left-handed bats, both swing and miss kind of guys. It's home run or strikeout. So, I mean, the Cubs had a weird offseason, letting their pitchers walk and everything, or moving them via trade. It was interesting, but they're weird is the best way for me to put it.
Yeah, a lot of it was questionable. The rotation could definitely use some work. I don't mind Hendricks as an ace, but the back half of it, the back 2/5 of it, is a little rough. Alec Mills, obviously coming off of a no-hitter last season, but besides that no-hitter game, he hasn't had anything that really stands out to me. And then Trevor Williams, who was with the Pirates, who didn't have much success. I think he's okay. I think they can do better with that as their 5. I think they could definitely go out and acquire someone if they wanted to. Letting Quintana go was questionable because he's still somewhat younger than Lester was. Lester going is fine, but definitely I would have held on Quintana to fill out a spot in that rotation. Notable guys in the pen, like you mentioned, Kimbrell and Workman, and then it's pretty much all downhill from there. And this isn't even the best Kimbrell we've seen. The bright point of this team is their lineup, though, for sure. I think replacing Schwarber with Peterson is almost like an upgrade, in my opinion. I think Peterson has a lot to offer still. And the fact that he's projected to be in their 7 hole says a lot about their offense. I really like it. We'll get to the PECOTA projection, which has them finishing 88-73. Do you see them winning more games or less?
I still see them winning less. And don't pay attention to the Cardinal gear behind me when I say that. I don't like the Cubs. I mean, obviously, but whenever I'm looking at their lineup, their lineup, like we said, it's pretty heavy. But there's still some things about that lineup that I just don't buy into the hype. I don't buy into Javi Baez. I'm not buying into Jock Peterson. Nico Horner was solid last year, but is he going to be able to continue it? It's, I want to say, his sophomore season, or theoretically his junior season, because his first one was a little short. There's still been trade talks about Chris Bryant, which could still happen before the season starts, as we're recording this. And so it's weird. Their lineup, there's a lot of question marks with the Cubs, and then their pitching rotation doesn't get me excited outside of Kyle Hendricks. I enjoy Kyle Hendricks, but he's not a blow you away kind of pitcher. He's definitely one to bring the off speed stuff and kind of hit his spots. Jake Arrieta, if he can get what he had with the Cubs, I mean, that's great, but it's been a couple seasons since he's been in Chicago, been up to that Cy Young caliber pitcher. Zach Davies did fine last year. He honestly did really well. So if he can continue that, that'd be great for him. But Alec Mills, Trevor Williams, I'm not excited about it. Their bullpen, outside of two guys, are still terrible. I'm not buying into it. I don't think their pitching staff can hold up with it. And so I don't believe in the Cubs to get 88. Maybe not far from, but 88 seems a little high for me.
Yeah, this division did get worse. Obviously, Bauer leaving and a few other guys leaving the division, but it's still very competitive. And I think teams like the Cubs and the Cardinals, they will be towards the top of this division, at least from what I'm seeing of the lineups. I do think that the Cubs will be able to prevail. I'm going to take the over, and that might be a hot take. That might not be a popular opinion, but I do really like this lineup. The rotation is not my favorite by any means. Subpar, if I'm being honest, but I do think this is something they can work on. Obviously, the Cubs have a very good front office and are capable of getting another guy if they have to. I don't think they have many great pitching prospects. I don't think that's what their farm system's known for at the moment, but I know they can make this work somehow. Trevor Williams, we still haven't seen all he can do. Zach Davies, he was decent. He got most of his playing time with the Brewers and then spent some time with the Padres where he wasn't too bad. So there's potential in it, although right now on paper, it's not my favorite, but I am going to go with the over for the Cubs, 88 wins. We'll move forward to the St. Louis Cardinals, your team, who finished 30-28 before losing in the wild card series to the Padres. They didn't get swept though. They lost 2-1. I'm sorry. Guys they brought in pretty much just Nolan Arenado, which carried their offseason and really was all this Cardinals team needed. Guys that left, Dexter Fowler, they traded him to the Los Angeles Angels. Brad Miller's gone. He's a Philly. Colton Wong is now a Brewer, which we'll get to later. John Brebbia is gone. And then Austin Gomber was the main piece in the Arenado trade. He's off to Colorado. What are your thoughts? I mean, as a Cardinals fan, I know we heard a lot about their offseason with that Arenado video, which I will link up in the corner. What are your thoughts on the offseason?
Man, go watch that Arenado video. You'll know my thoughts on the offseason. This was a good but a quiet offseason outside the one move. Whenever Colton Wong left, I was pretty upset about that one. I would have liked to keep Colton Wong, back-to-back Gold Glove winner. His bat's starting to come alive. It's a great pickup for Milwaukee. We'll get to that here soon. So outside of that, and I mean, Brad Miller was nice. He stepped in. He did very well in the DH role for the Cardinals last year, but we don't have that anymore. So outside of that, are we going to just keep him to have the nice bat on the bench? I mean, it depends. I don't remember his exact contract with the Phillies. I know it's cheap, but it's one of those to where we have other guys that we could go to on the bench. Getting Dexter Fowler out of the team is amazing. Bringing up Dylan Carlson late last year, the way he performed, he needs to find a way into the lineup. And Dexter Fowler, with the money he had wrapped up, he's the odd guy that needs to go. Tyler O'Neill, Harrison Bader, both still young, both still trying to find their ways around the bat, but both great defensively. And then obviously Nolan Arenado, the big addition. Obviously, that's a big game changer. We had Matt Carpenter over at third base who could barely throw over to third base. And he had to do DHing last year too, just because he can't field for a lick. So we had to move Tommy Edman over to third. Tommy is now going over to second, Colton Wong's spot. And now we get Matt Carpenter off the bench, which is a nice bench bat to have. I think the move's great whenever we look at it too. It's listed that right now the only we have, the only addition we have to the roster is Nolan Arenado. But when you think of it, we're getting Miles Michaelis back too. We didn't see him last season. We're getting Jordan Hicks back from last season. We didn't see him. And this is a Cardinal team that went 30-28 playing, 40% of their season in double headers. I mean, it was ridiculous. They were playing 14 innings a day, just really going in and out because they were hit hard with COVID last year. This Cardinal team found a way to prevail, and I think only going with, hopefully, let's pray, one game a day, it'll be a lot better for the Cardinals. Bringing back Molina, bringing back Wainwright's going to be big. Getting Michaelis back in the swing of things, Hicks back in the swing of things. I'm excited. I have high hopes for this Cardinal team.
Yeah, I completely agree. Definitely not giving up any serious prospects in the Arenado trade is big because you have Arenado and now you have several guys you got to hold on to that definitely were trade candidates. Guys like Dylan Carlson, and then guys in the lying in wait, like Nolan Gorman, like Matthew Liberatore. Definitely a lot of depth and a strong farm system for the Cardinals, which will last the next few years, which is great. Rotation definitely coming together. Flaherty, Kwang Hyun Kim, who I know you're big on. He had a good year last season. Brought Adam Wainwright back, the vet. He will probably retire soon, but finishing as a Cardinal is only right. The rotation looks good. The bullpen has a lot to prove, in my opinion. Jordan Hicks coming back after opting out last season. Andrew Miller, he has to prove he can still get it. He can still get it done. Giovanni Gallegos struggled in the playoffs last season, if I remember correctly. So, hopefully he can have a strong year and not fall apart once they get to the playoffs, which I think they'll get to. And then Alex Reyes, who at one point was a top prospect for the Cardinals as a pitcher, had some injury troubles and now is seeing himself in kind of a long relief role. He has a lot to prove. He has a lot to prove in the sense that he can still, last and be an important part to this team. Because once Wainwright retires, that opens up a spot in the rotation. And if Reyes is ready for it, then I don't see why not to put him in there. But the lineup looks really good in my opinion. Yadi Molina's back. Dylan Carlson, this will be his first full season in the bigs. Should be exciting. The Pacoda projection has them at 80 and 82. Over or under 80 wins.
That's honestly insulting.
It's bad. It's really bad.
That's terrible. No, they won't be under 500. No, not a chance.
No way.
So definitely hammering the over on that one. If that's the Vegas line too, I'm putting my whole first paycheck on that. It's ridiculous. The fact that we went over 500 last year, missing Miles Michaelis, missing Jordan Hicks, who's going to be, I'd assume, the closer of the setup man. And now the addition of Nolan Arenado, Coors effect, whatever. Shut up. Okay. Nolan Arenado is ridiculous of a talent. Are his numbers going to go down a little bit? Maybe. Okay. Is he going to hit 30 home runs? Maybe not. Maybe he only hits 25. Okay. Great. Does he hit 300? Maybe not. Maybe he hits 280. Okay. Like, it's still a great bat, and it's a bat that the Cardinals didn't have last year. The Cardinals' leading home run hitter, if I'm not mistaken, was Brad Miller with like 8 last year. It was like 8 or 9 with Brad Miller. And then I think Goldschmidt was second with 7. Okay. We have absolutely nothing when it comes to hitting. And we have, obviously, DeYoung had a down year and it's a shortened season. Everything's weird. Getting Dylan Carlson a first full season, that'll be huge. If he can hit like he did in the playoffs, it's going to be ridiculous. Tommy Edmonds done a great job of filling in his utility role. I think this is going to be a big season for him, especially hitting out of the leadoff spot. That's a good spot for him. There's going to be a lot of telling things, but the Cardinals are a team that you would never, no matter what their lineup is, you're not going to give them under 500 anyway. They're a good team, and they're a program that always consistently gets it done. I think you're looking more towards the range of where the Pacoda ratings had the Cubs. I think you're looking towards around 90 wins. Maybe not hit it. I think the Central is going to be really competitive this year, but I think you're a lot closer to that. I think 80 is ridiculous, but I mean, I do have a little bit of a bias, but I mean, even you said it yourself. I mean, that number is way too low.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance they go below 500. I think this team wins at least 85 games. I mean, it's the Cardinals. They do this every year. No matter what that roster looks like, they get it done. And I completely trust the Cardinals team. I still think they have a very good team. And at worst, they're making the wild card. They're getting into the playoffs no matter what. This Pacoda projection was way out of line. I'd have to look further into what made them project that, because I don't know. That's way off in my opinion. I think it's at least an 85 win season for the Cardinals, and I expect playoffs this year for them. We'll move to the Cincinnati Reds, who finished 31-29 and got swept in the wild card series against the Braves. Wild card series, definitely a common theme for this NL Central division. Offense absolutely died last season in the wild card against the Braves. That was definitely an issue. Trevor Bauer pitched the lights out and got nothing for it. And now he's off to LA. But guys, they brought in Jeff Hoffman. They acquired him from the Rockies. They picked up Sean Doolittle on a 1-year deal. D. Strange Gordon. He can still provide something as a vet. And Tyler Naquin, who they just recently picked up, former center fielder of the Indians. Guys that left, as mentioned, Trevor Bauer. Tyler Thornburg, he was one of their solid relievers. Freddie Galvis, solid infielder. Archie Bradley, potential closer. He's off to, I want to say, the Phillies. And then Rafael Iglesias, longtime reliever of the Reds, he's gone as well. What are your thoughts on the Reds?
I'm one of the guys who is really low on the Reds right now. They lost Trevor Bauer, and that's going to be important. I don't think he's going to have Cy Young a season yet again. But I think that was definitely an outlier. But it is a great arm to have in your rotation. When you look at this rotation, otherwise, outside of Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo, it's rough. To have to put Tyler Mahle, Wade Miley, and Michael Lorenzen on the mound 3 out of 5 days, that offense better be clicking. And last year they didn't have that. I mean, they had the addition of Shogo Akiyama. He played terribly. He's not even in the projected starting lineup anymore. Nick Senzel's been a prospect who's been highly touted, but hasn't really gotten it going. Yeah. You know, it's one of those to where it's like, you know, he could, you know, it's again, right now he's kind of like a mid-level player if he can get the bat moving, but he had high expectations, hasn't really fulfilled it. Joey Votto's getting old. Yeah, he's going to get on base, but the shift kills lefty hitters. Unfortunately, Joey Votto's fallen victim to it as well. Eugenio Suarez was probably the one outlier last year. He was phenomenal. I think Nick Castellanos had a decent season. I know actually Jesse Winker had an amazing season last year.
Yeah, he played well.
Let me correct that. So, but yeah, otherwise it's just one of those to where I don't believe in the Reds. Whenever you look at their you look at their additions, like you mentioned, and Sean Doolittle is great. I think that's a big piece of their bullpen. And D Strange Gordon, will be a decent addition as well as a veteran presence. And then Tyler Naquin will be a nice like outfielder to kind of, in and out. He'll probably find his way in the starting lineup by halfway through the season if Nick Senzel does what he does best. And I don't even know who Jeff Hoffman is. So
you don't know. He was a starter for several seasons in Colorado. I don't know why he's not on the projected rotation. I honestly, I haven't.
You know what Colorado Rockies pitchers are?
They're not as bad as you think. I mean, Coors bias or whatever you call it. I mean, it's a thing, So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Senzatella is a good arm. Gray had some decent seasons. Marquez is great. But I've just never heard of Jeff Hoffman. Maybe I need to take away my fandom card. I've literally never heard that name in my life. But looking at it, I mean, losing Bauer is not great. Freddie Galvis is basically replaced with D. Gordon. Archie Bradley is basically replaced with Sean Doolittle. It's just a lefty arm now. But then you're still losing Raisel Iglesias, which was your closer. You've lost your closer, you've lost your ace, and you're bringing in you're bringing in Jeff Hoffman and Sean Doolittle, who, if Doolittle does fine, that's great. But Great American's a pretty hitter-friendly ballpark. So we've seen Sean Doolittle, we've seen him succeed and we've seen him do kind of poorly, So it's one of those to where he's a little bit of a question mark. I just don't know how I feel. I think this season depends a lot on some of the other guys. So like if Aristides Aquino can finally come out and hit like he did that first week he came into the major leagues. If he's doing stuff like that, it's going to be ridiculous. If Castellanos can be Castellanos, that'd be great. If Votto can go back to his old ways, bat around 280, 300, I think it'd be crazy. But I just don't know with the shift if that's him anymore. If Jesse Winker can repeat a similar season, I just don't know if that's going to happen. There's a lot of question marks with this team, and I just don't know if I'm buying into Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, this team has potential. I don't think they're as good as they were last season. Obviously, losing Bauer, like you said, is big. I don't know why Hoffman isn't in the rotation. He'd at least be in Lorenzen's spot, but this gives Michael Lorenzen a chance to both hit and pitch a little bit more consistently. He's that two-way kind of guy, and we really haven't seen enough of him to make a clear judgment, but I guess he has his moments. The pen is not something I'm worried about. Yeah, you lose Iglesias and Archie Bradley, but Doolittle, like you said, he's in there. And then Amir Garrett is, getting better every season. He moves into the closer spot, I believe. I think that works just fine. And then the lineup, Jesse Winker, this is his first full season, obviously, since breaking out in the 60-game season last year. I'm excited to get him in the projected leadoff spot. That should be exciting for them. And then, like you said, as long as Castellanos and Votto and Suarez and Moustakas, they can keep up their normal stuff, that's a good middle of the order. And then Nick Senzel, we're still waiting for him to break out. Kyle Farmer, I want to say, is on the younger side. So there is potential here for them to be very good. And then having guys like Akiyama and Aquino, although didn't have the best season last season, they have potential, like the rest of the lineup, as mentioned. So really, this team is full of potential, and I don't know if they're a playoff team this year, especially with no extended playoffs. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Pacoda has them at 79 wins, over or under.
The thing is, like we've said, we've harped on it. The Reds are the team that has potential. It's just, are they going to make it happen? They're going to be a hit or miss team. And I think they're going to find a way to go under, but slightly under. I'm talking like 75. I don't think they're going to be much under that. I think they're going to hover a little bit lower than we expect. It's just one of those to where I don't have confidence in them. And that could be a hot take, but whenever I can't look at Tyler Mahle, Wade Miley, Michael Lorenzen, Jeff Hoffman, who I'm learning about right now in present day, and expect those guys to get 80 wins. And that's where I have to go for over. So, Gray and Castillo, they're going to do their thing. I mean, even Castillo had a tough season last year. It's a shortened season, sure, but he struggled a bit, but he'll get back on. Castillo's a great pitcher. It's just what's the lineup going to do? Is Jesse Winker going to repeat? Is Castellanos going to keep it up? Is Votto going to find a way to get out of that lefty shift? Is he going to find a way to start hitting over to left field? Same thing with Moustakas. Is Akiyama going to play well? This is the most question marks for a team in the Central, and I think that's dangerous. Because of that, I'm going to go under.
I think I'm going to go over. I really do like the lineup, and it has some big names. I mean, some names that have provided consistent offense in the past. I'm only worried about the rotation. I do think the bullpen will get by, and maybe the rotation will surprise me. I'm not saying they're going to win 90 games, but I think they can go at least 500. They can at least go 81 and 81, which would be the over. So I'm going to take a low over, like a couple of games over. Around there, though, I mean, the projection's not too far off, honestly.
Yeah, that's not the 80 and 82 for the Cardinals. 79 is not a bad number at all. This is probably my hardest one to pick whenever it comes down to it. Well, that in Pittsburgh, just because how
low can you go?
Yeah, but it's is the number that they have high enough, or is it too low? What's the situation? So we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I think the Reds are the most confusing team, and I think saying over, I don't think that's crazy. It's one of those to where if they hit, they're going to hit. It just seems that. It seems at least early on through the first couple teams, I'm going very rotation heavy, and you're looking a lot at the lineups. And because their lineup could win 80 plus. It's just what can the rotation do? And that's that's the question marks for me mainly. Definitely want to see some consistency in the lineup, but I also just I don't know if there's a worse other than the Pirates. I don't know if there's a worse 3, 4, 5 in the MLB.
Well,
it looks low. Like Tyler Mahle, he did okay. Wade Miley, and Michael Lorenzen, we haven't really seen him start. I mean, it's just weird. It's not a great rotation.
Is Hunter Green going to be ready soon?
That's a good question. We've been wondering about that for forever.
That'd be big. If they can get him up there, that'd be huge.
He didn't pitch in 2019, and then he didn't pitch in 2020 because no minor league ball.
Right.
So he hasn't pitched since 2018. I don't know where he's at. He should be. I'd imagine he'd be close to ready if he's. I don't know if he came off of Tommy John or what's going on, but hell, it's been 2 years since he's thrown a ball in a game. So I'm sure you'll probably see an arm get either a non-roster invitee or either be a prospect come up through their spring training. I wouldn't be shocked.
So I'm on FanGraphs right now, and they have Hunter Green. He's a non-roster invitee, so you might see him in spring training, but he's currently only at single A advanced, and they're saying he's not ready till mid 2022. So, okay. but Nick Lodolo, who's also a solid prospect. He's double A, also non-roster invitee, and he's mid 2021. So he has an opportunity to make the team at least sometime this year. Lodolo is a solid prospect, someone I would pay attention to for sure. I'd say
I
him
wouldn't be shocked to see
before
Lodolo in
Green.
this rotation at all.
Yeah.
That makes sense. He's been in the majors before, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll check.
Has he maybe made like a bullpen appearance?
He does not have any service time yet.
No, okay, maybe I'm thinking of MLB The Show.
Yeah,
but
the 95 Lodolo definitely.
I've faced Lodolo a couple times, but no, yeah, I could see this. I could see him coming up pretty soon. I could see him making his way into the rotation. I don't think this is going to be your rotation all year long, by any means. I think at least one of those three guys is going to find their way out. But I think a prospect could come up and fulfill that. But that's what makes me question it, and so that there's just too much doubt for me in the Reds.
Yeah, it's nice to know that they have the prospects though, because they kind of need it. But we'll move to the Brewers, where they're in a similar boat. Strong lineup, rotation a little questionable, but and a way different Pacoda projection. But we'll get to that. We'll start with who they brought in. They did finish 29-31. They got swept by the Dodgers in the wild card, as expected. Guys they brought in: Carl Edwards Jr. on a minor league deal, Colton Wong, as we mentioned, Jordan Zimmerman on a minor league deal. Does he have anything left in the tank? Brad Boxberger to a minor league deal. A lot of smaller deals here. Derek Fisher they acquired from the Blue Jays, and then Travis Shaw returns to the Brewers. Although on a minor league deal, he is their projected third baseman. Guys they lost: Ryan Braun. They didn't bring back, the longtime Brewer. Eric Sogard is gone. Jed Jerko is gone, and they traded Corey Knebel. They traded him to the Dodgers. What are your thoughts on the Brewers going forward?
Another team with a terrible rotation, really. Brandon Woodruff did good last year, and honestly, I should rephrase. Honestly, their arms did decent last year, but are they going to repeat? It's another one of those things. Shortened season, you saw a lot of people do well and a lot of people do poorly. You could say the same thing about Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich played terrible last year. Absolutely horrendous, was completely unseen. And this was a season off of his MVP talk, or was it 2 seasons? Something like it. He won an MVP very recently and then came out
2018.
Okay, so two seasons after his MVP, and then came out and played like an absolute dud. Just absolutely, honestly, like a liability to have out there in the lineup. He was batting like 220 or something like that, at least at a point. I know he was definitely struggling last year. Brandon Woodruff pitched pretty well. If I remember right, Corbin Burns pitched okay. Adrian Hauser typically pitches pretty well. They're weird to say the least. Their arms are just really questionable, and it just leads for a lot of uncertainty, at least on my end. I think picking up Colton Wong's huge for them. Kind of hurts, leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Gonna hate facing him. Lorenzo Cain's coming back. He didn't play last year with COVID and everything such as that. Keston Hara moving to first base is weird for me. It's not your typical first baseman, so we'll see how that goes. I thought they were going to bring back Ryan Braun, have him play first. Guess not. The fact that their projected third baseman is a non-roster invitee is a little bit concerning.
But it's Travis Shaw. I mean,
it's Travis Shaw who was on the team last year,
a year or two ago, I think.
Yeah, very recently.
Blue Jays and then come back.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. So, I mean, back with the Brewers is what it is. Their lineup hasn't changed too much other than the addition of Wong and getting Cain back, and then losing Braun, that is. But, I mean, Yelich moves over to left, which is good because he doesn't have an arm. Now you can get somebody else out there. Avisail jumps from DH to right field. It's the same team as last year in a lot of ways, just with Colton Wong. I don't hate them. I mean, I don't think they're going to be great. I think they're going to be in that contention with everything, assuming that Christian Yelich gets back to playing the way that he plays, and they'll be a decent team contending. But I don't see them as like a favorite in this division.
Once again, I like the Reds. I think this team has a lot of potential. The lineup is definitely their bright point. I don't really see a weak piece in this lineup. Omar Narvaez is on the newer side. He still has to prove himself to me, in my opinion. But overall, everyone else has proven themselves. Avisail Garcia, great contact hitter. Yelich, former MVP, as you mentioned. Lorenzo Cain being back is huge. Colton Wong, huge. Keston Hura, definitely not the typical body type of a first baseman, but if he can play it and he can pick it, why not? It's another spot in the lineup where you don't have to bench him. You can keep him in there and keep him producing. Love that. Travis Shaw, like I said, he's proven himself before, non-roster invitee, but I mean, we all know he's going to make the roster. They could definitely use a guy like him. The rotation, could use some work. Brandon Woodruff, like you mentioned, had a good year last year. Corbin Burns has his ups and downs. Josh Lindblom is coming from, I want to say, the KBO. We haven't seen him in the MLB in a little bit, so he definitely has a lot to prove. And then Adrian Hauser and Brett Anderson kind of fall into some middle, non-recognizable kind of pitcher. I mean, they don't stand out. The pen's good. You have two of the best relievers in the league, and Josh Hader and Devin Williams. Devin Williams coming off a breakout year. He was absolutely fantastic. I want to say he took home NL Reliever of the Year.
Rookie of the year.
Oh, Rookie of the Year. Both? Did he take home both?
He may have taken home, but I know he got Rookie of the Year because we did that predictions video where we said Hader, or where Williams should have won it, but I thought somebody else was going to win it, and he ended up winning it. So
right. Well, Williams proved himself last year. No matter what award
he won Reliever of the Year too, for sure.
Yeah, he really could have, and he's only going to be better this season, in my opinion. Pacoda projection, very interesting. 89 wins for the Milwaukee Brewers. What are your thoughts on that?
That's so bad.
It's interesting. I don't hate it, but I don't see it happening.
Pacoda has them winning the division. That's nuts.
Hey, I mean,
I can't do that. No way. Absolutely no way. I don't believe in their rotation at all. Again, granted, their bullpen's amazing. If you can get 7 quality innings out of some combination of arms, the game's over. If the Brewers have the lead, that is. Absolutely 100%. Hader and Williams will shut things down. But it's the pitching staff. Again, it's Brett Anderson, it's Hauser, it's Lindblom. What are they going to do? And I just don't believe in them. And I feel like I just see these teams year in and year out. And Milwaukee's one of those teams who recently have had a lot of high hopes. And this last year, they made the playoffs at under 500. They ended up going into the wild card round, and I mean, you got put up against the Dodgers. You got the worst end of the stick, but definitely the worst team matchup that any of the Central teams had to face. But again, there's nothing about them that really gets me going. There's, I like Colton Wong, like I said. I like Lorenzo Cain. Can Christian Yelich bounce back? I'm questionable about Keston Hiura. I like Narvaez just because the catching market is slim. But after that, Abasayola, a great contact guy. Travis Shaw and Orlando Arcia doesn't really do anything for me either. They lost a lot of key bench bats too. They were working in Jed Jerko. They were working in Eric Sogard, working in Ryan Braun. This team lost a lot of depth, and I just don't know if I trust it. Corey Knebel was a decent arm to have out of the pen too. Honestly, you could have shut stuff down after the 6th inning. And now they don't have that. They only have the 2, unless you're going to make one of those pitchers go multiple, which is going to be, that'll stop quick, with a full season. So I'm going to go under. I think they're going to be around the 500 mark. I think they're going to sit around 82 to 85. I could see them again. They're going to be up there in contention. Like I said, I think the Central is really, who can execute the best, which I mean is every division. But I think the Central is probably the most up for grab division in the National League. And so if they can find a way and the right players get hot at the right time, the Brewers can find a way up there by 89. I just don't know if they're going to make it all the way up there.
Yeah, 89 wins is intriguing and fun, but not realistic. The Brewers are a good team, and like a lot of the other teams, including the Reds we just mentioned, rotation is the problem. Go off for Jake Odorizzi a contract. He's still out there not signed for some reason, along with a healthy helping of other pitchers. There's plenty of options, and like this is a bad example, but like Kevin Mather, the president or whatever of the Mariners, said, soon these pitchers are going to come, hat over hand looking for a contract. They're going to be willing to take pay cuts. I don't know how the financials are working right now in Milwaukee, but this is true. And although it's not a good thing to say, it's true, and something that several teams could address, including the Brewers. So I do think they'll be in contention for the wild card. I do see them around 85 wins as well. But yeah, 89 is not realistic. I'm gonna take the under. Speaking of taking the under, let's go to the underbelly of the
Great
MLB.
segue.
The Pittsburgh Pirates, who finished 19-41 last season, missing the playoffs. In case you thought that record could get you anywhere, guys, they brought in Todd Frazier, minor league deal. Dustin Fowler, they acquired from the A's. He's yet to really get some quality service time. Brian Goodwin, former Angel, former Red, that's a minor league deal for him. Tyler Anderson, and then plenty of prospects. The main ones, Miguel Yajur from the Yankees in the Jameson Taillon trade, and Will Crowe from the Nats in the Josh Bell trade. Guys that are gone, I just named two. Josh Bell traded to the Nats, Jameson Taillon to the Yanks. Chris Archer heads back to Tampa Bay. Joe Musgrove is traded to the Padres. Trevor Williams is now a Cub. Keon Kella's gone, and then veteran Derek Holland. Definitely a different team than we saw last season. Last season, they weren't good. This season, they're downright terrible looking. The rotation is horrendous, to say the least. Their ace is Steven Brault, who I know is not very well known around the league. I'd say their most well-known pitcher is Mitch Keller, who's currently slated to be their fourth. He's one of their best prospects, and the lineup is not something you could shake a stick at. Will, what are your thoughts on all this?
This is a team that this year will not be fun to watch, but down the road, if everything goes to plan, this could be a pretty decent team.
Very true.
I like Adam Frazier. He's a pain to face. Same with Brian Reynolds and Kevin Newman. They're all very much contact guys, and they are pains to face in this lineup. Colin Moran, for some reason, he's streaky. So like one day he'll go over and strike out 4 out of 5 at bats, and then the next day he'll pop 2 bombs off you. Brian Hayes is an amazing prospect. If he comes into his own, he'll be very fun to watch, and is definitely, in my opinion, the bright spot of the Pirates.
Yeah,
the pitching staff's terrible. Mitch Keller, if he can get into his own, he'll be decent. But everybody else, it's meh. Brault doesn't get me excited. Chad Kuhl doesn't get me excited. Tyler Anderson, sorry that you're on the Pirates. And JT Brubaker, I mean, it's another guy that's just like, okay, maybe if he gets it going, but right now it's a little early. We have notable relievers as Chasen Shreve. That lets you know the pitching staff of the Pirates right now. It's not going to be a fun team to watch. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, you should check into hockey, maybe even football, because this is going to be tough. This is not going to be great. Definitely going to be the bottom dwellers, the guys that the teams beat up on in this division. And so because of that, makes you concerned a little bit about their record. So Pacoda has definitely made it interesting for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's not much to say about this team, and definitely even less good things to say. Brian Hayes, very high on him. He's a rookie of the year candidate for sure. He's the bright point. I like Jacob Stallings, who you didn't mention. He's the catcher for the Pirates. Given the catching position is kind of slim in quality this right now in the MLB, but Stallings is solid, and he had an up year last year. Rotation's terrible. Not much going on, as I mentioned. The pen might be even worse. Their notable relievers are Ricardo Rodriguez, Chasen Shreve, and Kyle Crick. I don't know how they'll close out games. I really don't know what they'll do after the first 5 innings. Maybe they'll select a lucky fan if anyone shows up.
Yeah, what's Joe Nathan up to?
Call him out there. Yeah, what's Joe Nathan? What's Booth Bonds are doing besides having a cool name off the top of my head? There's so many. And like I said with the Brewers,
what's Jason really doing? Yeah.
Like tearing Achilles or something. I don't know. But yeah, there's plenty of free agents out there right now. A couple quality guys that can definitely be picked up to make this team better. Obviously, they're playing small money ball right now and definitely looking towards the future, which has potential to be pretty bright, but not right now. Luckily, they have one of the most beautiful stadiums in the league, PNC Park. So if you're in Pittsburgh, go catch a game there and maybe just I usually don't advise this, but scroll social media for like 3 hours or just take in the stadium.
Don't pay attention to that game.
Do something except the game. Yeah. Look into the Penguins. They have some potential this year. The 76ers, I know they're not Pittsburgh, but Philly, not too far away. They
Yeah,
have
sure.
playoff hopes this year. Definitely some teams to check out, but this team does
Oh,
not
wow.
have playoff hopes. I'll tell you that now. And Pacoda would agree with me. 61 wins. They project over or under.
Oh God.
Yikes. Big yikes.
Give me the under. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not just kick a dog while it's down, man? Just make it worse. Yeah, give me the under. Why? Who knows why? But their pitching staff's going to be hellacious. It might be record breaking how bad this staff is. And that might be an understatement. I really don't know if their starting pitchers don't go 9, who's going to come in and help. It's maybe I'll be surprised, but right now, I mean, they had some decent arms. Like they had Keone Kela. Keone Kela was a nice arm to have in the pen. Felipe Vasquez was doing great before he got caught up in legal trouble. Shout out him. But you know, it's one of those to where everything that was good has now gone wrong for Pittsburgh, and why wouldn't it continue? When it rains, it pours, and it's raining right now in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this is somehow tough for me because if you go under 61, you're so bad it's kind of fun. You know, like you're among like worst teams ever, so you're still gonna be talked about, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it's not for the right reason or anything, but it's a little fun. It's kind of fun. Like, hey, we're bad. Let's have fun with it. You know, the pirate parrot or whatever might get some more airtime. You know,
There you go.
he might have more production than the players, but you know, this team's not ready for any major league action. A triple A team, depending on the system, could potentially take them down. At least the pitching staff. The pitching staff will give up a good 5 to 10 runs on them. I'm gonna go under, not by much. I don't think they're that bad because I think the offense could piece something together, but the pitching, man, the pitching's just so horrendous, and there's really no room for improvement. I don't think any of their prospects, I'm sorry, that they acquired, I don't think they're ready for this year. I could check FanGraphs now, but really, this team is looking rough. Definitely some work needed to be done. Let me look at some projected pitching.
Really, the only prospect I can think of off the top of my head that, I mean, other than Cabrian Hayes, is O'Neal Cruz, and O'Neal Cruz got caught in legal trouble too. So shout out him.
Yeah, and yeah, he's a shortstop. He had some upside too. He's like 6'7" or something for a shortstop.
He's
That's
massive.
crazy.
But they have Newman, and Newman's, you know, the shortstop's not the position they really need help at right now. And
Yeah,
it's not like they can move him to second because Frazier's doing fine. Like they need to find somebody to take over center field. They could use a new catcher, and they need pitching out the wazoo. I mean, it's ridiculous. They cannot put a limit on new pitchers they need. So, and I can't think of, other than Mitch Keller, any prospects. Oh, and Will Crow now, but other than that, I really can't think of any like decent prospects coming up in the Pittsburgh organization.
yeah. None of their prospects, pitching prospects, really stand out to me. Will Crow, he has a little bit of service time, so he should be up there. Miguel Yajur, who they acquired in the Tyon trade, it's saying mid 2021 for him, so we should see him this year.
A beginning for the Pirates.
Yeah, Roansy Contreras, he's only 21. They acquired him in the Yankees trade as well. He's early 2023. And there really aren't many other great names up there. Cody Ponce could be seeing some time as well. Yeah, so they need to acquire some pitching prospects if they still want to make a few more trades. But offense should be okay for the next couple of years at least. But yeah, pitching, it's bad, and it could really get worse. It could tumble down and get a lot worse.
The Pirates are going to go one of two ways. They're either going to be bad and just deal with it and just hope for something else later on, or they're going to be abysmal and they're going to move players. And if that's the case, that'd be nice. But I mean, it'd be good to see some of these guys get out of Pittsburgh. But right now, it's not going to be fun to watch. For sure.
I mean, thinking about pitching prospects, if they get the first pick in the draft next year, with which they have a very good chance of doing, you got guys like Kumar Rocker from Vanderbilt. He will be draft eligible. He's a fantastic pitcher. I'd love to see him. I mean, we're going to see him in the MLB anyway, but a team like the Pirates, he could turn them around in a couple of years. So there are definitely some great pitching prospects that a number 1 overall pick can take advantage of, like the Pirates, given they suck that bad. But I guess we'll just wait and see. As you guys have noticed, we've been dropping these daily, so stay tuned tomorrow for our NL West projections and predictions. But for now, that's been the NL Central. For Will Polston, I've been Matthew Perry for GMs for Hire, and we'll see you guys next time.